Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the European Masters Week 2, Day 2. My name is Jake Hitbrain Matthews and I'm joined by Dan Orcs Harrison. Great to be back with you, baby. So we're getting ready to go into our second day of action here, where it's all going to be about Group A. But before that, let's have a little bit of a rewind, a step back and talk about yesterday's games. Group B, still not particularly decided at the moment, as Gamer Legion got a 3-0 day.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing. I mean, I think everyone had looked at YellOwStaR and YellOwStaR and they'd gone, right, these two are the front runners. It's pretty much a done deal, but Gamer Legion came out huge. And the current state, the result of this is we have a 3-way tie. And the games individually had so many close moments, particularly Gamer Legion against YellOwStaR. That final game was down to the wire.
This was that final game as well, where they pulled out some crazy stuff. This is, as Goldborg said, they're mad scientists with the Jhin mid from Ornn, building into that lethality item in the Sanguine Blade, the full AP Galio, just like this craziness, and it just, YellOwStaR got caught off by it. And what this means is YellOwStaR are guaranteed a spot in the quarterfinals. Where they are is a little bit up in the air. They can get first, they can get second, and that's what their tiebreakers to decide. While YellOwStaR Riders and Gamer Legion, they actually have to fight for a spot in the quarters.
Yeah, so if anyone who's wondering, the head-to-head is dead even between the three, so instead it goes down to fastest average game time. YellOwStaR edges ahead, so although their spot in first is unlocked, they are going to at least be top 2 in the group. YellOwStaR Riders and Gamer Legion will play a tiebreaker, the loser will be knocked out, the winner will play against Rogue for the #1 spot.
And that's Group B. Yep. But we have 3 other groups. Today, it is all about Group A. This is LDLC, this is Schalke Evolution, this is Samsung Morning Stars, and this is Kick Neo Surf. Our 4 teams who are going to be battling out for their spot in the quarterfinals. And this group is so close. Looking at it on paper, it looked like Samsung Morning Stars have been thrown into the lion's cage there, but instead of throwing a lamb in, we accidentally throw another lion in. This is 1 point separates our top 2 teams and our bottom 2 teams. It is down to the wire, and today I am so excited for today. We've got some really good games coming up, and our first game is going to be LDLC, the reigning champions here at the European Masters from the LFL, taking on Schalke Evolution from the Dark League. And remember, with a 3-0 day from Gamer Legion, Schalke, they need a good day as well to keep up there with their brethren.
Yeah, they want to be able to emanate the success we've seen from the other teams in the Dark region. We've seen Mouse do very well. We've seen Gamer Legion have this big redemption run. Schalke needs this, especially considering their spring split when they were the first seed for the region and they flopped. Didn't make it out of group. So now is the time you really want to be putting the pressure down. The LDLC trying to match.
Well, let's see what's been taken away here in the ban phase. We've got the Set, the Akali denied from LDLC, and then over for Schalke, it's the Lucian and the Kalista. So, bit of change of where we're seeing the attention of both of these teams. The Shen's going to be the final ban, so Sleeping pretty heavily actually banned out here, while over on Schalke, they've taken away 2 AD carries. Obviously, the Lucian is a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be the Caitlyn here. This is the same bans that not only Schalke, but Kick also banned against LDLC in round 1. They actually change it up. They go for TynX's Hecarim, so he's been heavily leaning on that champion. This leaves that Caitlyn open. The standard bans against LDLC was Caitlyn, Lucian, Kalista. They've left one of those open, and I mean, I feel like for Exakick, you just take the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I feel like this is a really easy lock-in for him there. We'll see if he decides to go for it for the moment, unless it's something maybe they place higher prio. And it looks like actually the Renekton first pick here for Bando. He's thrown the gauntlet down.
I know one person who wouldn't be happy about a first pick blind Renekton, but it gives him the potential advantage in that 1v1 matchup. In theory, can be flexed and made in some certain situations, but I don't really expect it. But I think Bando has definitely had a bit of a rough go of it so far in EU Masters, particularly in that week 1. Giving him an advantage means that hopefully he can hold up against Sleeping.
And actually, it looks like Schalke, they don't even care about the Caitlyn. They're going to pick the Ashe for themselves here. So, see what they want to pair up with that. We have seen a few different things, some Enchanters, the Tahm Kenches, the Engage. There's a lot of Engage supports left open to pair up with the hard Engage the Ashe brings as well.
Well, I think the nice thing about this on red side is Schalke now can take counter pick support. They have several opportunities to do so. They can go red 3rd pick, they can pick a support and ban away counters, or they can go for last pick. So, securing the Ashe is great. If the enemy team picks Caitlyn, you can have a good matchup on top of that. And Sleeping, he's been a big role player for the team. He's had to take things like the Shen, like the Ornn. He's going to take that here. And as much as Bando may have the advantage, because we've seen a lot of Renektons find a bit of a gold lead against Ornns, the Ornn is going to remain ever relevant and start handing out those ornaments and be a massive driving force for the team. So a lot of scaling already for Schalke, which is kind of what we've expected from them so far.
Yeah, I kind of expected, like you said, but over to LDLC, they're looking now to stop rounding out this comp a little bit, getting a rough idea where they're going. They're going to lock the Jhin in, so Caitlyn just completely fallen off the priority for both of these teams, and now they're looking for something to either pair up with that Jhin, or they could go for a mid laner if they want here. They're thinking about it, and they're going to lock that Orianna in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Orianna has had a lot of success at the tournament. Obviously good for contesting priority against a range of champions, but also safe, scales up, gives a bit of protection to your backline. The big thing that I want to potentially see is something you can sync with that Orianna to provide that setup, to provide that sort of wombo combo ability, whether it's going to be in the jungle or the support lane. But you see Sertuss just take the Leblanc here, and I feel like Sertuss has been a big factor for Schalke. I think that sometimes Lurox has struggled, and often it's Sertuss having pressure that gives him space.
Alrighty, well, we're going into the next ban phase here. Mid laners have been picked up, supports have been left open, and the junglers as well. So I wonder where we're going to see... I assume it's going to be a jungle counter pick for Schalke. I don't think you want to really counter pick support unless they're really leaning on just walking through this bot lane as much as possible.
Counter pick support is really valuable on the current patch, and especially when you have two champions like Ashe and Jhin, which either one can comfortably get an edge depending on the support matchup. I think you definitely could go either direction. I'm going to be interested to see what they prioritize, because typically, from what I've seen of Lurox, he tends to be a little bit more defensive than the likes of TynX, so getting a good matchup for him is important, but I don't feel like he's the sort of player necessarily runs away with it. He plays a lot more for his team than getting a big lead for himself.
So maybe jungle support counter pick actually might be more high priority then.
Yeah.
These junglers are already getting heavily banned out, which does mean Rox can get the picker of the litter. 4 junglers banned out. You've got the Lilia, you've got the Nidalee, you've got the Graves and the Volibear all banned away. I feel like Schalke just take what's good and what's left open. What is left open?
I mean, it depends what direction you want to go. If you want to stick more to the farming, but to be honest, there's things you can play with LeBlanc to go for that early aggression. There's things like Lee Sin, things like Rek'Sai, where if you're going to really go full on in that mid-jungle matchup, you can look to challenge the likes of an Orianna and cause some pain.
Gonna be that Rek'Sai locked in there. Does have those interesting gank kind of routes you can use, especially towards that bot side and top side now. Over to LDLC. They look to get themselves something to pair up with the Jhin, something that can challenge versus this Rek'Sai. What has TynX got left in his wheelhouse here? Is hovering a Skarner. I don't normally like to talk about hovers, but I actually kind of like that.
Yeah, I think if they do go to Skarner here, it sets really well up for a Thresh for YellOwStaR. He's been pretty proficient on the champion over his career history, but also at this tournament. Syncs well with the Skarner, and also good safety net for the Jhin and that Orianna. So I think that makes complete sense to me. I think there's obviously a strong front line for the team composition. They're instead opting for the Leona, so a bit more aggression in this scenario. And the question is going to be, what does Nukes want to counter this with? Because ultimately, for Schalke, they have the stronger mid-jungle early. I want to see them transition that down towards the bot lane. So ideally, something that you can play around the bot lane, or at least can negate some of the pressure from that Leona early.
Well, speaking of negation, Tahm Kench is going to be the lock-in here for Schalke. So, comps are rounded out. You have a rough idea of what we're talking. You're saying jungle mid for Schalke is what you want to be looking for, and looking to transition that down to the bot lane. Over to LDLC, though, what are they looking to do now?
But I think the big thing is at level 6 is a big power spike on the Skarner. I want to see the impact things can get with these impales. Prior to that, he's going to be farming a fair bit, but you can still find opportunities. He's got to be cautious. If the Rek'Sai overcommits and you counter gank him, great. But otherwise, he has really strong gank patterns. So I expect to see TynX not playing super heavy to gank lanes as such, but to cover and protect his lanes. I think once LDL hit 6, they can really hit their stride, they can start to make plays, and Schalke Evolution, if they don't get that mid-jungle ahead, if the Rek'Sai is behind, if the Leblanc's behind, the game will feel really rough.
And one of the key things about that, with them hitting those level 6s, is LDLC, while they've actually picked up only 5 dragons throughout the entire week 1, they were very good at picking up early dragons. They fought for those early dragons. Normally, that early dragon comes up around the level 6 marks for some of your solo laners. So maybe we're going to see some action break out around those neutral objectives, as we are taking to the Summoner's Rift for our first game of the day. This is the LFL's defending champions here at the European Masters, taking on Schalke.
And I think that's the wild thing, is that LDLC being in this position, 1 and 2 in the group. But you have to put context into that, because we did see LDLC finish off last week having a win against Kick, who were up until that point undefeated. So it was a big moment. It was a moment we said, yes, they are capable. Yes, they can do that. And I think that's the big story for me for LDLC so far this split, because we saw it. They actually had a week of play in the LFL last week, and we saw them lose to Game Ward and Easy Dream, 2 teams who didn't even make it to EU Masters, but then they beat Misfits Premier, who are the #1 seed for the LFL. So for me, LDLC they are very capable of competing at the highest level. It's just they need the consistency. And on a day like this, where fate is in your hands and you need to have a good day, I am looking at them and seeing if they can be consistent.
And I mean, looking at like this entire group, everyone is capable. I genuinely think all 4 teams have a shot of actually making it out of the group. This is a very stacked group, and I didn't think I'd be saying that about a group with Samsung Morningstars in, but I am saying that right now. I genuinely believe every team has the capability, and today is the day they have to show up. It is put up or shut up, really.
Yeah, and something I want to just note there is what I have seen consistently between these 2 junglers is that TynX will often, you know, request that leash from his teammates, get that good momentum, get that early start. Lurox so far in EU Masters has just been soloing his camps. He is very much playing for his team. He is not requesting resources from them unless it's absolutely necessary if he's being challenged. For the most part, he's trying to facilitate his teammates, whereas TynX, even on something like Skarner, he wants resources into him. He wants to be strong and relevant. And I expect to see in this early game, I want to see Lurox looking for these gank opportunities, but TynX likely just going to be farming away and trying to get a level advantage and get that level 6 as fast as possible.
You want that impale as quick as possible. As the Hawk shot will fly through the jungle, and actually TynX is found out just on the edge there.
I mean, there's no real way you can not find him out.
they saw all of the camps, right?
They saw every single camp.
I don't know why I was kind of play-by-playing the Hawk shot when we already know that it's seen all 3 camps and they know he's topside. It does mean that Sleeping will have to be a little bit aware of that, but Sleeping's okay. He knows it's an early Skarner. He's underneath his tower. He's feeling fine just to farm it up here, nice and safe, as Bando is going to pull ahead in CS. This is one thing he will have to have over him. This is what we talked about in the champ selectors. Renekton's over Ornn's have been pulling ahead in gold. The question for me is, how is Bando going to use that gold?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is if you get to those mid-game team fights and you're super relevant, the Renekton can be absolutely huge. But Ornn is always going to have value. His CC is just so strong, and you can obviously scale up and remain relevant. Now, Bando, this is quite aggressive here, and you can see that TynX is moving up to cover this aggression. They're cautious about a potential gank coming in from Lurox, so they're not necessarily looking for a dive, I don't think, here onto Sleeping. It's just making sure Bando can try and deny this farm. And if you look at the CS scores, he has been doing that. A big wave was going to crash into Sleeping, and actually Sleeping ended up missing quite a bit there because he was so cautious about the Renekton in his face.
They actually spotted out TynX as well as he walked over the Scuttle Crab as it spawned, well, despawned effectively. So they have that information to work from. Both the junglers are heading bot side. LDLC's bot lane, though, are getting heavily bullied around by Nukes and Innaxe. As it looks like we might have a bit of contention here over this Scuttle Crab. Lurox jumps in forward, and this will just be a double crab start here for the Rek'sai.
Yeah, good moves, honestly, from Lurox, and showing a bit of that presence on those early game junglers, getting the assistance from your team when they can. A bit more proactive and a bit less defensive than we've typically seen from him so far in EU Masters. It's normally TynX the one who tries to find that aggression, those angles. And it's what I want to see from Lurox, because I don't think he's had the best tournament so far, but definitely a capable jungler.
And it's a bit different from what we were talking about from him. Normally, you know, he's the one that plays defensive. If he gets invaded or he's just willing to get out of the camp, he won't scrap for it. But this time, feeling comfortable, feeling aggressive versus TynX. And they're looking to set up onto the mid lane as Sertuss misses the chains, and that is going to send Lurox away, as he is not going to feel comfortable jumping in onto this Orianna.
Yeah, I mean, you wait for the chain to hit. If it doesn't, you just leave. But ultimately, that's one of the dangers of playing into Leblanc is the 1v1 pressure isn't super high unless they outplay you misplay, but it's the gank setup. It's very easy to dash in and look for that chain, and if you miss, you only burn a bit of mana. You can always go back. Now, TynX, again, wave pushing up here for LDLC. He wants to be there and show an assistance in case the gank comes in or in case Schalke look for an all-in this situation. The Skarner's going to be there to assist, and he's going to be cool. No reason to do anything. He just helps LDLC push the wave up, and they're then going to go for a reset. Schalke are actually going to hold these minions here, but I don't think LDLC are really bothered about that.
No teleports in the bot lane. I was just seeing whether or not either of the AD carries had the ability to kind of deal with these waves. It looks like Innaxe is looking just to hold the wave. Lurox is going to start off with this early dragon. As we said, maybe level 6 is when we expect to see that happen. Sertuss is level 6, but Lurox, he's just going to start this up with Nukes, and Dragon's going to be picked up here by Schalke.
Lurox has been pretty keen on these 5-minute Dragons. Some junglers wait a little bit longer, but he's very keen on just having, when the opportunity arises, whether it's from a reset mid or whether it's from a reset bot lane, he'll just go and pick up that early Dragon. And if you're a team who's looking to pick up those early Dragons and lean into that, obviously it's a great advantage. You start stacking them early, but even if you are a scaling team, having a dragon on the table means that LDLC would be longer to hit their soul point. At this moment, I really feel like it's a little bit more up in the air, the scaling. I do feel like it favors LDLC more, just with the Orianna, the Skarner. But there are still strong elements on Schalke, like that Ornn, like that Ashe. For now, though, things pretty even overall. TynX looking to actually counter-invade here, but maybe challenged.
Yeah, Sertuss making his way over. Got that level 6, remember, so double chains are on as he's going to land the first one. Knock-up lands, second chains comes in. Shockwave lands onto 2, but that is going to be the shield onto TynX. Sertuss finds himself the kill as it's actually Lurox who finds first blood. Now Bando making his way over here. Low health bar onto Sertuss as this wave's just going to crash, and Sertuss could be in for a bit of hurt. Does have flash available. Going to step back as the slice and dice forces him out as the Cold Meat locks him in place, and Bando able to find the kill. Beautifully executed. Now a teleport's coming in from sleeping as he's looking to see if he can find something in response. Lurox is about and multiple members are coming forward. The Call of the Forge God's going to get a double knock-up layered in beautifully by sleeping as he finds the kill. Now YellOwStaR, he's the one feeling the hurt. Going to get exhausted, going to get slowed as the knock-up connects, and down goes YellOwStaR. Innaxe finds the kill.
It's really nice played there by Schalke. It was honestly a bit over-aggressive from LDLC. Just take the hit, TynX goes down, fine, but instead they go greedy for a second kill, and Schalke are there to collapse. And it was even actually Exakick and YellOwStaR moved up to assist, and that's what made YellOwStaR go down. It was honestly just them opting into a bad situation. So TynX, this is just a bit aggressive. You don't really have the support of your mid laner yet. Leblanc is going to be able to get there first. You can see Vetheo's positioning here. So it's always a bad invade if Lurox turns up. He does, and there's no way you're getting out of this once the chain is connected. You just try and buy some time. But at the end of the day, the result is there. Now, at this point, LDLC could have just gone, cool, we lost a member, that's fine, and opted away. But instead, Bando goes pretty aggressive for this kill. And as much as it works out, you're now in a bad spot. If you look towards the minimap, towards bot lane, this is when the bot lane starts to move up to cover. And this is when they get brought into this bad situation, because Bando's got not enough health to be relevant. YellOwStaR is trying to assist him, and now he's trapped here. The slows come down. No way he gets away, and it's another kill going to Schalke in this situation. It was just like lemmings.
Really, one by one they were going in, and one by one they fell. Beautiful layering of the CC by sleeping on the knockups there, but also angled that perfectly to get himself a 2-man knockup. Now, the observers very kindly showed us, but actually in that replay time, LDLC did pick up the Rift Herald for themselves, so they do have that in TynX's pocket, and we'll see where he decides to put that down.
Because he can be a big factor with the early gold acceleration right now, Schalke. About 400 gold ahead, it's nothing major. I think the big thing to highlight for me is that this mid-jungle, although the jungle matchup's a bit in favor of Lurox, we haven't really seen too much from Sertuss other than that assist on the kill on TynX. He has fallen a little bit behind in farm, so hoping to potentially see more. But now, Vetheo's moving up to the top side. They have the Herald ready, and the Impale is available. So Sleeping makes a good call to back away. That just means free damage onto this tower and 2 plates going down.
Yeah, and on the other side of the map, Schalke aren't really gaining anything. They got a mid lane shove from Sertuss. They've got bot lane only making their way down there.
Sorry, I've got to just read the name out.
Sertuss, I know.
There's no I.
I know.
You're going to be bothering a lot of people.
I apologize to anyone who is upset by my way of saying Sertuss's name.
You got it now. You got it now. We can move on.
I don't know why I put an I in.
I don't know why.
It sounds like, you know, some kind of Greek mythology god.
Don't know where you're going with this.
That's where I was going with it.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
I really, really love it when you grab the ball and run with it, mate. It's one of the things that just makes our synergy so good.
I just prefer to leave it hanging and just make you look
You just like
bad.
to make the pain just hold as long as possible.
I love those awkward silences.
Yeah. I bet you do.
Anyway, right. Well, I think what I wanted to highlight before that is I actually really like to play from LDLC. They go topside, and then instead of overcommitting, they take a small advantage. Those 2 plates, deny some CS from Sleeping, who is about 20 CS behind now in the top lane. But then TynX goes for the fast reset, and you actually saw him cover the bot lane there. So Schalke weren't in position to punish bot lane, and by the time they got into position, it was already too late. And we've seen a similar thing here. Now they're going up towards the top side. Because of that earlier work that's done, they can take this tower very quickly. And yes, Schalke will be able to pick up that dragon, but but they don't really have time to do anything to the tower. The wave's been cleared out. Yes, they have another wave coming in, but it's going to be a long time before they actually take this tower down. And already you can see that on the top side of the map, LDLC are marching on that second tower.
Yeah, they're going to be able to clear it out there by sleeping. Sertuss making his way over to make sure he's able to cover for his top laner. First Terror Blood picked up by LDLC. While Schalke do get a few plays bot lane, they do get a dragon. Mountain Soul's coming up, and it'll be an early Mountain Soul as well. So it's not the end of the world for Schalke, but it is a good upward trade here by LDLC early on.
Yeah, and the thing I'm a little bit concerned about is the solo laners right now for Schalke are significantly behind when we look at the top lane, somewhat behind when we look at the mid lane, but the thing with the mid lane matchup is it is a Leblanc into an Orianna. Inherently, that matchup is going to become a bit more painful as the game goes on. If you're not ahead, the extra resistances that Vetheo gets from his shield and they can provide to his teammates just make your job harder. So the fact that Sertuss hasn't had a great early game so far, or at least not so much not great, but not so impactful,
yeah,
is going to hurt for Schalke later down the line, even though for now they are 2 dragons up and even in terms of gold.
Now, if LDLC can find this win here, and Samsung Morningstar can beat Kick in our next game, that means all of the teams in this group will be 2-2. And that means going into the last 4 games of the day, everyone's on equal footing. It's going to be so important every game. It just feels like today is just going to have some really hyped matchups. Yesterday, we thought it was going to be very one-sided. We thought Group B was decided, and Game of Legion really kind of stunted everyone. They really, you know, they shut up the critics with their craziness in their drafts and just the brilliance they have when it comes to forming team comps. And maybe we can see a little bit more spice coming out from someone like LDLC, because remember, they are a team who are looking to hold their title. And while they're not the first seed from France, they are the reigning champions here at the European Masters. They won Spring.
Yeah, and I mean, they could go out in groups. It is at the point where we saw their week 1, they lost the first 2 games, they won the 3rd. If they lose the first 2 games of this week, they're out. That's it, done. You're going home and you won't be able to play anymore. So this match is important to take the pressure off for LDLC. If they win it, obviously they're not going to clear, but it does put them in a better spot. Now, they're actually looking to engage bot lane, TP coming in.
Good gobble up as they've actually looking to get Innaxe away to safety. Flashes out, and now Nukes pops himself the shield as the curtain gets cooled. Good stun onto Bando as the Call of the Forge God comes down and sleeping, looking for the knock-up. YellOwStaR, he's the one to only eat that alone, and low health bars on both of these teams, but they are just going to back off as TynX looking to see if he can grab somebody, but unable to do so with that Impale, and it's a play pulled by LDLC, and Schalke are able to pull the resources down and survive it.
Yeah, I like the disengage, though, from Schalke. I like that they didn't commit into this situation, but actually,
oh, no, sleeping. Oh, he's pulled back. He's sped up. They got another TP to keep him alive, but that's going to be the gobble by Nukes. Nukes comes in huge there. Shockwave has flashed away. Now they look for the turnaround. They find themselves too. LDLC.
And Lurox just dies. Lurox just dies. I mean, as I'm complimenting Schalke and saying, great decision to back away from the play. Don't commit when you know they have tools like Bando, who had his Dominus up and available, TynX, who had the Impale, and then they just decide to walk back into them. But I like the punish from LDLC, but Schalke, you did not need to take that fight.
Oh, the chains go wide. Sertuss unable to find himself the kill onto Bando, and Bando proving to be a bit of a nuisance now. I'd love to see the replay of actually how he got the kill.
I'm going to imagine, right, he walked up to the Rek'sai and just comboed him.
Yeah.
But in this situation, the engagement LDLC in concept is good, but TynX is so far away, and they don't have enough CC to lay it down to keep someone pinned in. You can see Schalke start to kite away, they CC anyone who starts to move towards them, but ultimately they make the decision not to overcommit. You can see Sleeping was walking forwards, they opt to back off, they're respectful of the Skarner, and at this point I'm like, great, you made the right decision, they committed a lot, you didn't play into it, but here is where they end up overstepping, so Lurox is waiting in a brush over here, I think, for Bando. Yeah, he just walks into him. And he's like, who have I found here? Well, it's Renekton. That is not who you want to find in this situation. And actually, the ult came in too late. So trying to get enough damage down, it was too late. And you see on your screen, obviously, the situation where Sleeping did get away, but Nukes was the sacrifice in that scenario. So a bit messy from Schalke there.
And this time, there's no teleports. There's no one to keep Sleeping alive. As uses the Bellows Breath and the knock-up, but TynX will be able to cash in on the kill. Vetheo, good shockwave there. They just lock Sleeping down.
just messy, in all honesty. Just people getting caught out from Schalke, but I like the aggression from LDLC. This is how you should be playing around a Skarner, even without the ult there, but you should be looking to chain together kills. Now, third dragon coming up. This is typically when we see teams contest it. Vetheo has his teleport. TynX has the Impale. I expect to see LDLC look to challenge this one. Looks like they're going to throw the Herald down mid.
Yeah, so they're going to get control mid lane. And question to me is, are Schalke looking to contest this? They don't have a teleport on Sleeping. There is a teleport on Vetheo, so feels like LDLC, they're just going to be able to pick this up.
Yeah, you have to move back and go defend. YellOwStaR could be a bit out of position, but I don't think there's quite enough damage from Sertuss to
I mean, actually, Ashe comes in, good stopwatch, and YellOwStaR, he's going down. Nukes finds the kill. Dragon's been started up, and Lurox may be feeling this a little bit as Bando will just jump onto him, locks him down for a little bit longer, and that will be the Dragon picked up for LDLC, denying Schalke from getting this soul nice and early.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragon is picked up from LDLC. That's a critical thing. YellOwStaR does go down. Had the flash available, and honestly, probably could have gotten out on that, but ultimately, the rest of the team collapsed. Schalke able to get the kill and some damage on mid, but LDLC got what they wanted. They got the Dragon. They denied the soul. At earliest, it's going to be 27 minutes now, which is pretty late in the game. So LDLC feeling much better about the current circumstances. We see this here. It's just a really good play to have Vetheo pushing the top lane, to have the Herald. It forces them away. The Rek'sai, as you can see, spots out YellOwStaR, and he just overstays in this scenario. First chain doesn't do much damage because obviously you have the extra resistances. Second chain kicks a lot more, but here you could flash. A flash was possible there for YellOwStaR. Opts not to go for it, accepts his fate, and ultimately, it's a nice pick for Schalke, but it doesn't really change the outcome. You still lost that Dragon. You're still almost 2,000 gold down. And I highlighted the Rek'Sai and the Leblanc. They haven't really had the impact you want. You pick these champions because you want to be the driving force in the early game. You want to snowball. Right now, Sertuss is down compared to Vetheo. And Lurox is just going to lose out in relevance. You can see both of them down in gold, the entire top side of the map. The only person who's really pulled ahead is Innaxe in the bot lane. And as much as the Ashe will be relevant later on, it's going to be hard dealing with the likes of a Skarner, an Orianna, and a Jhin.
A 900 gold lead between both of the mid laners here. Vetheo got himself the Archangel, stacking that up. Got the Haunting Guys and a needlessly large rod to Sertuss, who's upgraded the boots, sure, and has a Luden's Echo, but that is it. That is just a one item on your LeBlanc right now. And you look over in the AD carry role, Innaxe got his Infinity Edge, got himself the Warhammer, while Exakick just running around with the singular Infinity Edge for himself. And remember, there are these ornaments. You do get that kind of extra little bit of a kick post-level 14 from Sleeping when he starts handing those out. And the Molten Edge is picked up onto Innaxe. Could always be a real problem here. But LDLC, they're okay. They're just kind of stemming the bleeding. And like you said, scaling, scaling, scaling.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big point for Schalke is when they get those ornaments handed out.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's not a CC.
I mean, that's just Innaxe dead.
Not much kind of play. And the thing is, you don't opt into the early QSS because you're like, well, I have a Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench wasn't there. But a nice pick from LDLC. They're able to get some more pressure down in the mid lane, and they are just looking so much better. This is such a good start to this week. We said they needed to come out swinging, and we had hope from how they tailed off their week one. Taking down Kick was huge. The #1 seed for the Ultra Liga, a region who has been extremely dominant most recently in the spring split, with 2 teams in the semi-finals. And it seems like they are carrying on with that form. And even a player I was a bit concerned about in Bando has had a good sit game so far in Renekton.
Yeah.
He's been ahead in terms of gold compared to Sleeping, and he's had a really nice spike with the Blade King and the Black Cleaver right now.
Yeah, Bando's having a much better performance than I expect to come into this as well. So really good stuff from him. Remember, this game's a bit of a pride piece for both of these teams. Might have to hold that as they do land the Ashe. Remember, there's no cleanse available to Exakick. Is able to flash away. Cleanse just about coming up, but it's a little bit too late as they do find themselves a stun onto Nukes. Nukes actually QSS is early. He's going low HP. The Greyhawk has already been used. He's slowed down by the Chilling Smite. Is going to get the shield off the Leona. Sleeping gets a free man knockup, but Bando on the sideline, able to find himself a kill, and that's already 2 for LDLC. The reigning champions are looking to fight back here in the second week of play. As Sleeping, he will be taken low. He's going Sleepy, go bye-bye. Shockwave isn't even necessary, and LDLC, they find 4 kills.
Yeah, Schalke go for the play, and it gets answered back in force. They try to go for a pick on an Exakick, and honestly, the concept's fine. The cleanse wasn't quite up and available, but they didn't have the right follow-up for it. Sertuss wasn't in position to find that damage to execute, and you blew so much trying to take down the Jhin, it was very easy for LDLC to answer. In particular, Bando coming in on this Renekton was just huge, decimated that fight.
We literally highlighted him 2 minutes ago, and he then just proves us he is the man to show up. Look at this.
No one's in position to really follow up on this. By the time the arrow's timed out, Exakick has a chance to flash away, doesn't take any more damage apart from Innaxe's, and this is when the turnaround starts to come in. Nukes is in a bad position, Lurox has already used most of his mobility, those two go down. At that point, the fight is already lost. There's nothing much more you can do. And then Sleeping and Sertuss are trying to get away, but Bando is chasing them down, and the Orianna is able to find the speed buffs, the slowdowns to get Sleeping, and Sertuss, again, just overstaying in the scenario. TynX with a good pick. And that's enough to get Baron. It was just a poorly executed play from Schalke, but LDLC punish.
And LDLC are going to punish even harder here as they're looking to pick up their second Drake. Schalke's potential Mountain Soul win condition is evaporating before them right now. So that'll be the second one here for LDLC. And Schalke, they had a rough groups last time round. Last spring, it was not great. And they had a better start last week, but opening the big day for Group A like this, with a loss to a team who struggled last week, is not how they wanted this to go.
I mean, I think coming into this group for week 1, everyone was thinking LDLC and Kick. Those are the two teams to beat, those are the teams coming out. And after LDLC's week 1 performance, people, seen an engage here.
They come in, Sertuss actually jumps, instantly gets stunned up and low health. Massive three-man shockwave, clips onto everyone. Bye-bye Innaxe, and TynX, he doesn't even want to go any further. Bando's just going to take this mid lane tier 2. And Schalke just bite the bullet once again.
They're just getting decimated at this point. LDLC are not stopping, and any opportunity Schalke look to find a play in return, they are massacred.
LDLC now pushing up here in 2 lanes. They've got the Baron, remember, still to work with. These turrets are going to go down quick as Bando looks to jump up to Sertuss. Sertuss probably regrets taking that distortion forward as he lost almost half his health. And that's just going to be an inhibitor tower taken down by Schalke. They're not going to overcommit for anything else. They're going to look to spend up some of their gold they've got and look to try and go for maybe another tower a little bit later.
And Sertuss feels confident to go for this. You throw the arrow down, you go for a quick combo, but the instant stun that comes in there from YellOwStaR means you take so much damage in the shockwave here. And at the end, the extra damage from the Orianna with the distortion, just enough to one-shot Innaxe. Nukes was CC'd as well. There's no way for him to eat out of that one. It's just really nice execution, and I think a massive gold lead right now for LDLC. And really, Schalke, you need to find a pick, but they've been trying that, and they just haven't been able to get it. And it's starting to feel a little bit desperate at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're now starting to get these ornaments handed out as level 14's been hit for sleeping. But I don't know if that really matters because you're not that far ahead. You're actually behind in items in a lot of cases.
I mean,
the rapid fire cannon,
7k goal difference. You're massively far behind.
There's a 2-item spike on both of these AD carries at the moment. They've both got 2 items apiece, but I worry that there's a level disadvantage mid and bot lane, and top lane, and jungle. It's just a level disadvantage everywhere.
Hey, Nukes the same level as YellOwStaR. He's doing all right.
All right, good job, Nukes. You're keeping yourself in this.
It's a fact you're down in gold. The enemy team has a Skarner, and it's a bit pricey to opt into QSS when you're already behind. And on top of that, Mountain Dragon stacking up means this front line for LDLC is even tankier. It's not looking good at the moment, and if Schalke starts struggling here, if they lose out to LDLC and they have a bad week, they could end up missing out on the knockout stages again. This is what happened in spring for them. They were the first seed for the DAC region, and they didn't make it out of groups. Now, obviously, there's not as much pressure on them now, but it would be devastating to once again not make it past this point, especially after a strong week 1 performance.
One of the questions we had about the DAC region was, how good are they at playing meta? Normally they play their own thing, their own craziness. We saw that from Game of Legion yesterday. And are they going to be able to pull it off versus teams who are good at playing meta, like LDLC? And at the moment, it feels like they are struggling a little bit here.
And it's just, there was a lot of pressure in this game put on Lurox and Sertuss, and I don't think they did a bad job as such, but to me, I don't feel like this is the style I would typically want to see from Lurox. I think he's a better facilitator than necessarily someone who wants to be getting a big lead, because in this matchup, you need a big early lead on the Rek'sai to remain relevant. Otherwise, you're just going to be a sitting duck to get impaled by TynX again and again.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, eventually gets to the point where he doesn't even impale you because you're not even worth it. Now,
Oh, he had cleanse as well. I mean, I guess it's on a short cooldown, so it's not really the end of the world.
I'm always a fan of them throwing out the Ashe ults to try and force things, to try and put pressure down. It is a relatively short cooldown, especially with Essence Reaver. But nothing was going to happen there. I think maybe they would have gone...
Best case scenario, they got the cleanse before Dragon or Baron.
Maybe they were potentially going to go for Nukes using his ultimate to get someone in, but he's only the level 1 ultimate right now. The range isn't that high. And as you said, he has cleanse, so it kind of felt like fishing with no bait and just... winging a prayer.
Like fishing with no rod. Had the bait, they just put it in their hand and put it in the water. All right, well, 26 minutes here, and we got the Dragon spawning, got the Baron spawning up as well.
I mean, LDLC on pressure. You can just see Rabadon's came in for Vetheo, Death Dance for Bando, some big spikes here, and they're happy just to keep picking up these Dragons. They have the scaling advantage, they have the Orianna, they feel confident going in the later stages, so they're not forced to go for some crazy plays to try and force this Baron. They're just going to keep stacking up these Dragons. And Bando feeling confident just to stall that one out while the rest of the team retains some pressure. There's a wave in the top side that needs to be answered eventually, but I think right now they're just trying to keep Schalke at bay and keep them away from the Dragon. You can even see how far away they pulled the red buff just to try and secure it. They will get it in the end. But Schalke definitely know that they're in a really rough spot right now.
And this will be the third Dragon picked up for LDLC. That's 3 mountains. Means the Soul will be coming up next for them. And Schalke, who I actually thought were in a good position to get a Soul. Now that is just slipping away from them. They're going to have to pull something really big out of the bag here to be able to do that. And you can tell they're behind. You can tell they're struggling to hit their item power spikes when you get the Luden's Echo upgrade.
Yeah, that is the I need power right now, because by the time I have Rabadons, the game's already over.
Yeah. And that is going to be an Impale. Looking for an easy pickup. They do get the gobble out by Nukes, and Lurox is kicked away, but Bando looking for his turnaround, looking for his knockup, gets the stun. He's going to pop the ultimate as that's Bando just sliding in and out and sleeping. He is locked down, throws down the Call of the Forge God, won't even get the redirect off in time. And a second kill has been picked up for LDLC as Schalke are just sent packing. The 4th shot not going to quite hit its mark. Sertuss actually looks for the snare, is going to get it onto YellOwStaR, and Innaxe is firing away. He's pretty healthy at the moment. Zenith Blade goes wide, and LDLC's health bars on quite a few of their frontliners are running low. And maybe Sertuss and Innaxe are feeling it as Vetheo is going to have to pop the shield, is flashing away from the chains, his Exakick stepping up. Ashe Arrow not available at the moment. Baron doing a lot of damage to LDLC. They are going to get caught out here as Bando just flashes in, looks for the kill, gets the Innaxe gobbled up, and Innaxe is going to go down. Exakick's able to find himself the kill, and that is just an absolute whitewash by LDLC. Baron's on the menu.
Beautiful re-engage there from LDLC. They make the right call, the health bars are low, they back away, but as soon as someone oversteps, and this time it's Innaxe, they pounce, they get the kills, and they'll get the Baron off the back on this. Just flawless execution there. A couple of messy moments, but this mindset of the team was absolutely spot on. We'll see it replayed. Bit over-aggressive, I feel, in all honesty. Onto Lurox, I like that they're looking for the jungle in this scenario, but Vetheo doesn't quite connect. He actually survives for a long time, but Bando TP into the backline is a critical factor here. It means there's no way Lurox is getting out. And right now, Schalke just playing defensive. Sleeping TPs in the backline has a way worse time than the Crocodile. And it's this moment where Schalke actually finds something in return. You can see Innaxe and Sertuss aren't willing to give this one up. They start to put some pressure back down, and actually Innaxe gets a fair bit of damage, but respects the engage potential, backs away. But they continue to try and threaten to force him off the Baron, and they're doing a good job. Vetheo gets chunked out, but Innaxe here steps up too far, ends up getting caught by the trap, caught there by the root, and now engage coming in from Schalke.
It's back to business. Chains do a lot of damage here. Sertuss is forced away. Sleeping is also going to jump out and actually looking for a turnaround. Again with the Impale. Sertuss loses his life as the curtain comes down, and Nukes is just going to tank all 4 shots. And Schalke, they hold on to their inhibitor tower mid for the moment, but this is a Baron siege from LDLC, and they just lost the burst. They just lost their mid laner. They have no Call of the Forge God. 2 open inhibitors in their base, and LDLC just looking to try and close this game out.
It's been devastating, and TynX has been so on point on this Skarner. Whenever someone is threatening, they get impaled, they get shut down. Because you saw how low Vetheo was there. Looked like he was potentially going to go down, especially when it's a Leblanc who can so easily pop you. But TynX is on point at this defensive play, keeping his backline safe, and Schalke just don't really have an answer at this point.
I mean, you're looking at a LeBlanc with a Luden's Echo upgrade, a Void Staff versus Deathcap, Seraph, Liandry's, 14 stack Medjay, Merc Dreads as well, which is insanely good into Leblanc. As the Ashe arrow does come down, it is going to get connected out by Bando, and no one really wants to jump into the Crocodile. Sleeping, not got his ultimate available, and now Schalke, they're staring down the barrel. The second inhibitor will crumble. And LDLC, they're not actually going to go for the end yet. They're going to back off, spend their gold.
Again, there's no pressure. They don't feel the need to. You have the Dragon Soul in a minute. You're really far ahead. Why overstep? Because you're confident in your composition. Lurox is a glorified cannon minion at this point. Sertuss is incapable of popping anyone, even with, I mean, maybe with a full combo, but he's not getting the opportunity to get a full combo off. And right now, Innaxe is in a really rough spot. I mean, look at the itemization. You've had to go for the QSS to defend against the Skarner. You've had to go for the Last Whisper to try and deal with some of this armor. You haven't even got your third crime yet. It's just so far behind. Then you have to opt into these purchases you wouldn't typically like to take. So LDLC happy to go spend, happy to get their presence back on the map. You can see stopwatches for Vetheo and Exakick. They make it very tricky for Schalke to find an angle here, but this is our last moment. 3 inhibitors down. They have to look.
Oh no, Sleeping. He's going to throw out the Bellows Breath to try and keep himself going for the moment, but he is low. Solar Flare lands onto the backline, and that's already one for Exakick as he throws down the curtain. Nukes is going to try and tank this for the rest of the team. Innaxe kiting away. He's already used that Ashe arrow as Lurox is being chased out by TynX. The flash comes down from Bando. Bando looking to try and get the kill, but Nukes gets a gobble off onto Sertuss. And now Bando, his health bar's going a little bit low as Innaxe is able to get the kill, but the towers are going low. YellOwStaR is just going to go golden, and that will be the kill on to the jungler. Nexus goes down, and LDLC find the win.
I mean, this is the expectation for LDLC. This is the reigning champion team. We expected to show up, and I think we got glimmers of it in that kick game last week, and I think they definitely showed they were capable of this, but they've come out strong on the day, which is the important thing. It's rough for Schalke, and I feel like they've moved a bit away from what I typically expect from them. We sort of saw them playing to their item spikes in the mid-game, leaning into the later scaling. You saw things like the Ezreal for Innaxe, and they'd lean on that. And then a bit more for defensive play, it felt like, often having some scaling mids. This was a lot more like mid-jungle need to dominate.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
I think this game, outside of what that game looked like for LDLC, I think what the big thing is, it means that Group A is now just starting to get a little bit more spicy. 2-2 for LDLC. Now, guys, we're going to break that game down a little bit more after this break, so we will see you in a second.